Hello and welcome to the Share It with Ishani podcast, where I share stories from people around the world to educate, empower, and inspire you. And I'm Ishani Gupta, radio anchor and a public speaking coach. Well, we know that how important today communication is in today's globalized world. And English, as we know, is a universal language which is known and understood by maximum number of people around the world. We are going to learn about English language and language in general from our very special guest, Stephen Greene, who is basically from Brazil, but originally from the UK. He has been teaching English for the past 25 years. Like, that is absolutely amazing. And he has a master's in linguistics as well as diploma from Trinity College in London. So please welcome Stephen. Namaste, and we are really pleased to have you on our show.
I'm so pleased to be here. Thank you for having me.
So today in this episode, I would really want you to share something about how non-native speakers basically learn a language, and specifically how they learn English language. So can you throw some light on this topic?
Well, it's actually a bit of a mystery. Nobody knows 100% what's happening when we learn a second language. It's very different to when we learn a language as a child. We know that. There are some similarities, there are some differences, but at the moment, people seem to think that everybody is different. And so the way you learn anything, not just language, but the way you learn will not be exactly the same as your brother, your sister, your friends. The way you learn is different. We're all unique. We're all individuals. There are some guiding principles, but that there is no one thing that works for everybody.
Okay, so that brings me to the next question, which is, what challenges do you face when it comes to teaching the non-native speakers? And you have told me that you have many students from India. You help them improve their English speaking skills. So can you just tell me, like, what challenges do you overcome while teaching them?
I suppose the number one challenge is time. It's finding the time to devote to learning a language. There is no easy fix. It's not something that, there's a one teacher with one secret that you can follow this secret and you will automatically learn a language. Learning anything takes time, and some people can do it quicker than other people, and some people need more time to learn things, but it's a matter of time. So what I say to my students is, look, don't study for 2 hours on a Monday. This is no good. It's much better to do 10 minutes every day than to have one block of time once a week. And this kind of makes sense. There's lots of research that shows the way to learn anything is to do it a lot, but often. And so if we can find 10 minutes and make it into a habit. The first thing you do when you get home from work, you have 10 minutes to do something in English, or when you have lunch before you eat, you have 15 minutes to study something in English. And once you make it into a habit, then you can start to do it every day. And if you can do it every day, 10 minutes a day for a year, that's a lot of time. And by doing it every day, it means you keep the English alive in your brain. If you only do it once a week, then let's say you do it on a Monday and you don't even think about it for another 7 days, it's all disappeared. It's a waste of time.
That is really true, because even public speaking is similar. You need to practice. So English speaking, like language learning, or be it public speaking, you need to practice. You need to develop a habit basically of speaking and practicing every single day without fail. So
Absolutely.
I completely agree with you.
When we talk about habits, we often think about bad habits, smoking, chewing your nails or something. And they're very difficult to break. They're very difficult to stop doing these things. But if you can develop good habits, that's the same thing. It's very difficult to stop a good habit. Once you have
Wow.
a good habit of studying or eating correctly or doing exercise, once you get into that good habit, it's difficult to break and you want to do it again and again and again.
Yes, yes. You have made a wonderful statement. I love this idea that you have just presented. Okay, my next question to you is that, a lot of people in India, or I am asking you this from the perspective of India, because I have seen people, I have seen students who try to learn English, who are like, okay, I'm going to start learning from today. But eventually what happens is they drop out and they are not learning English because they are not seeing any progress whatsoever. So what would you like to tell those students or those who want to learn English but eventually they just drop out?
I mean, I understand perfectly the problem. When you start learning English or when you start learning any language,
Yeah.
it's very easy to see progress. At the first day, I can't speak anything. And after a week, I've got words for colors. I can ask a question. Oh man, this is great. The progress is incredible. And it's very easy to see this progress. But once you've been studying for a year, 2 years, you forget how much you have learnt and you just see yourself at the same level. And this is an international phenomenon. It's a human phenomenon. It's called the intermediate plateau, that we get to this plateau and it's very difficult to increase even more. Now, like I said earlier, that there's no one thing which is going to be for everybody. But generally speaking, you need to do something different. Whatever you were doing to start learning a language, well, you've learned that. So now you need to find other things to do. Maybe that's watching a film, maybe it's reading a book, maybe it's listening to a podcast, maybe it's writing something. Each person learns in different ways and you have different reasons to learn. But if you can find something different to do with English that you were not doing previously and challenge yourself. And then another thing to do, as we've mentioned, is it's difficult to see progress. So one thing you can do is sit down and say, right, this is what I can do today. This is what I can't do today. So let me focus on what I can't do. For example, let's say you need English for tourism and you notice that you cannot answer tourists who come into your hotel or your restaurant. Identify that as a problem and then set that as a goal. In 6 months, I'm going to be able to have a conversation about something specific. If we just tell ourselves, I want to learn English, this is such a big thing, and you will never learn English. I am 47 years old. I was born in England. I work with English all the time. I still haven't learned English. There are still words I don't use, words I don't know. And this is the same with anybody in their first language. You will never learn the language. So set yourself goals, achievable goals. Set yourself goals for this week, this month, this year. And by doing that, you can then start to see, look at this goal. I achieved it. There is progress. And you can see that you're getting better. And this is key to motivation, because I think one of the problems that you're mentioning there is motivation. It's having that motivation to keep going, to keep studying when you can't see progress.
You have shared a wonderful tip. I mean, setting goals is the thing that each and every person wanting to learn English should do, basically. Setting goals is the thing. And this is really amazing that you shared that it is never possible to learn a language completely. So setting goals is the thing that we should be looking towards. So amazing. And I want to also ask another thing, that public speaking is related, and basically English language or any language should or is the foundation of public speaking. So public speaking is the second level, I believe, and a language is the first level, because public speaking can be done in any language. So a lot of people, they come to me and they ask me that, hey, I want to learn public speaking. But eventually we realize that it is not public speaking which is the problem, but they basically want to learn English language. So that is the problem with them. What would you like to say to those people who are confused about, or like what should they do? Public speaking or English speaking, or how do you see this?
Well, if you need to be involved with public speaking, there's so many different types of public speaking. There's so many different ways of getting involved. I suppose if you're trying to do public speaking and learn English at the same time, you're doubling your goals, but you're also doubling the amount of work you have to do. But it's good, if you need to get involved with public speaking, that is your goal. And when you have a very clear, definite goal, you have something to work towards. However, you do need to have the language. I can't just tomorrow decide I'm going to do some public speaking in Chinese. I don't speak Chinese. First of all, I would need to learn some Chinese, and then I can learn about how to do public speaking in Chinese. Each culture is different. The way you give public speaking in English will be a little bit different to Chinese, a little bit different to German. There are maybe there's a lot of differences, maybe there's a few differences. But one thing that I've learned from helping students gain confidence, and a lot of it is confidence. It's having that confidence to stand up and speak in a different, or even your own language, is to slow down. A lot of people, when we get nervous, we speak too quickly.
Too fast, yeah.
One of the best public speakers I've seen alive at the moment is the former American president, President Obama. Now, I play speeches of his to my students. It doesn't matter if you agree with him or disagree with him. I'm talking about his ability to speak in public. Yes. And I play some of his speeches to my students, and they are all amazed at how slowly he speaks. And yet he is one of the most effective public speakers. And speaking slowly takes confidence, because we're afraid of silences sometimes. But a silence is good because it allows the audience to understand and process what you're saying. And it's good for you as a speaker because it gives you those extra few seconds to organize in your mind what you want to say. First of all, you don't have to be fluent in English. You can practice and practice and practice, but you do need some English. And then slow down and go for it. I think that would be my main piece of advice for anybody hoping to do some public speaking. You learn by doing.
You learn by doing. Absolutely. I absolutely agree. Finally, I really want you to share some tips on English language learning, because I know you have a podcast, English with Stephen, right? So I really want you to share some tips that, the people who want to learn English speaking, they can use and take away from this particular episode.
Okay. So for my master's degree, I did some research on cultural factors for learning strategies. Learning strategies, this is what good learners do. And there's a whole list of different strategies that you can use. Some of them will not be appropriate for you because you just don't like doing them. Some of them will be appropriate for me. That's okay. The idea, though, is to know what good learners do. And I talk a lot about different learning strategies on my podcast. Now, for you, it might be watching Netflix. It might be listening to songs. It might be very academic. We all learn in different ways, as we've said. And so it's to experiment with different strategies, different techniques, and to find out what works for you. And not to be ashamed. Your best friend said, "Oh, I learned English through listening to songs," and you didn't. That's okay. You're a different person. Yes. You just need to find what works for you. Everybody can learn a language. It's a natural human state to speak more than one language. People who think that we should be monolinguals, no. Until very recently, we were all polyglots. So it is possible. You need to understand yourself, know what works for you, and then do what makes you feel good. If you think, right, I have to read a word in a dictionary every day, but I think it's boring, you won't do that forever. You won't do it for a long time. If you like listening to songs and you learn from listening to songs, you are more likely to do this every day of the week. So find something you like, find something that works for you, and then go for it. Don't just listen to other people.
Yeah.
Experiment yourself. And it doesn't matter if it doesn't work. You can find something else. And there are lots of free ways of learning English. There's podcasts, there's YouTube channels, there's Facebook groups, there's Clubhouse, another public speaking app. There's lots and lots of ways to find exposure to English and to use English.
These days, there are so many platforms, so many options for people to go for and practice their speaking skills and language skills. So
absolutely, yeah. But it takes time. It does take time. It takes that investment. It's either investment in money or time or both. There is no secret that you're going to wake up tomorrow and speaking another language. No, it's not going to happen.
Yeah,
but
actually,
it can be done.
Actually, you know, I have seen a few advertisements out there who claim that you are going to learn English, you are going to master this in 2 months, or maybe just in 12 classes, or some time limit is there, and they will say you'll learn English, you'll be a master English speaker in these many days.
No, because everyone's different. If you've got something specific, for example, I need to improve my emails for work or something, that you can do in 2 months. But to master the whole language, no. Think about kids. When a baby is born, it takes 4 or 5 years for that baby, with 24 hours a day exposure to the language. It takes them 4 or 5 years, and they've got nothing else to do. They don't have to go to work. They don't have to go to school. They don't have to worry about paying for bills or arguing with a boyfriend or a girlfriend. They don't have any of these problems. Their job is to learn the language, and it takes them 4 or 5 years. The thing is, as adults, if I want to learn to be a lawyer, I have to go to university. I have to go for 3 years, 4 years. I have to study every day. If you study 10, 15 minutes of English every day, in 3 years, you will have a huge improvement. You may not be fluent, but you will be able to have a conversation with somebody. And you don't need to go to university to do that. You just need the self-discipline to do 10 or 15 minutes every day and to experiment with different ways of learning. It is possible.
Yeah. So it was really amazing to have this conversation with you. And I just want to share with my viewers that if you want more tips and more training on English language, if you really want to learn that, so definitely first go and check out the podcast that Stephen Greene has. It is called English with Stephen. The link is there in the description. So go and check out. That's all for today. Thanks a lot, Stephen, for being on my show and sharing such beautiful knowledge about English language with my viewers.
It's a pleasure, and it's been wonderful speaking to you. Thank you so much for having me.
Thanks a lot. Okay, then. See you. Bye-bye. See you next time in next episode.